Hello, welcome everybody. It's great to see you tonight. This is not my normally scheduled broadcast time, but that's all right. I have great news that I have a new computer. So I am super excited to test it out and see if we can share the screen without any glitches, you know. And so far, I've been using this computer since yesterday, and there's been it's worked super fast, you know, where my old computer was just like so slow, even to open Word or something. It's just like so slow. Um, so I really feel confident that that was the problem. So I'm super excited, you know, to be able to share my screen with you today. Um, so Chalet in the house. Woohoo! Woohoo! I just said I have a new computer, so we get to try it out. And I am super excited. So I think I'll start with share it, Mama. Yeah. Some news stories because I opened a whole bunch of tabs, you know, where before it's like I had to close every tab except for the StreamYard, you know, and so okay, let's try. First, I'm going to uh, I think we'll try this one where it should put my, so when I share the screen, present, share the screen, my face should stay in the box. Okay, yes, share the screen. And I'm gonna just share the whole screen. There you go. Share. Oh, I have to choose it. Okay. And there I go. Okay. Um, so I know that looks funny. So this is what StreamYard looks like, what I see. Um, so the first thing that I want to share with you, oh darn, I can't see. I'll have to like click back over here um, to see the comments. Okay. Um, all right. So in pictures, the heavy rainfall that we had, this was July 4th. So this was like a week ago. 10 days ago, week and a half ago. And so if you want to see what it's like in Phnom Penh when there's a heavy rain, there's the first one. There's a second one. There's a mosquito buzzing around. There's another one. You can see there's waves here. A car must have just gone through. People are always like trying to drive through. I refuse to drive through. I'll turn around, go back the wrong way on a one-way street, whatever I need to, not to ride through a flooded street. Yeah, this is pretty normal. These were cars that were parked. This is the Royal Palace right here. Yeah, this area doesn't normally get flooded, and they're parked right up to this, like right up to the curb of the sidewalk. So that's it. Let me check on. Oh my, people are nuts. Yeah, they are. They're so nuts. Okay, so how do we handle justice here? This was a really interesting story. So bodyguards are made to apologize after a Rolls-Royce incident. So what happened was these four guys were bodyguards, probably I would guess two motorcycles. Um, and so you would have one driver on the motorcycle and one behind. Sometimes, I mean, if they're military, they'll usually have like a rifle with them. But anyway, they got it went viral on the social media here that they beat up a guy that they said was too close. And so I believe this is probably a screenshot from the video, because this does look like a Rolls-Royce symbol here. So this is probably the Rolls-Royce. This is probably them being too close. I wish they had a link to the actual video. I would play it. And they proceeded to beat up the moto driver and the passenger. And they were, well, doesn't say they have military ranking, but anyway, so their punishment was that they had to apologize. Verbal conflicts ensued and inappropriate gestures were made. And so this is what we do. We make them apologize. And okay, let me check for comments. Okay, somewhere there was a story about a guy and a cop getting sucked down a drain ditch, and they both lived. Some kind of sewer pipe, I don't know. Oh my gosh. Motorcycle guy came by and kicked our car as he passed us as a kid. I remember. Oh, wow. Probably just nothing probably happened. He probably just went on, right? They get mad. I guess my dad was too close or something, but it was scary. Yeah, and I've known motorcycle drivers in the US that have said that, like, yeah, if a car comes too close to them, they will kick the car. And it's almost like a safety thing, in the opinion that I've heard, because they, the car's not seeing them and is continuing to like change lanes or something. It's to get their attention, and so they'll kick the car. But in this case, it was, these guys were on motorcycles probably riding behind the Rolls Royce. Whoever was in the Rolls Royce, the story didn't say. And when that motorcycle rider got too close, I'll go back to it. So they're too close. So they proceeded to do their job and protect the car, I guess. But they went about it the wrong way, I guess. And so, yeah, they were made to apologize. Okay, so the next one, another apology coming from video producers apologizing for making a sexy video. Now, so they're accused of producing erotic videos judged to offend Khmer traditions. So the film department of the Ministry of Culture and Fine Arts called the members of Kday Gaming Team, and it's a production company I've never heard of. And this is a picture of their sexy clothes. And it has just been passed as a law that people can be fined or go to jail for, basically being too sexy. I can't remember what the terms were. Not moderation, modesty. It's like a modesty law, and so they also had to apologize publicly, Okay, no new comments. All right, moving on. I mentioned before the dolphins and how critical the situation is with them. There's less than 100 right now. And get rid of that. This is what they look like. They're kind of stubby nosed. They're river dolphins, and they don't have the long bottle nose, right? That's what they call it, bottle nose. The dolphins are the ones we're used to seeing and that you would be seeing in Florida. Anyway, apparently the Chinese had a similar problem in the Yangtze River, and their dolphins that it says here, finless porpoises, had gone down to less than 100, and after their protection efforts, now the population of their finless porpoises in the Yangtze River has gone up to 3,000 dolphins from under 100, which is the same situation we have. Now there's more than 3,000. So they're stepping in, and whatever they did to help protect the dolphins, they're helping Cambodia to do, helping fund people. They said something about In a bid to prevent illegal fishing, a total of 72 river guards have been deployed at 16 stations to patrol the dolphin habitats routinely. That's currently, so maybe they'll fund some more river guards and stuff. But when they fish with nets, then the porpoises become entangled. And of course, if they can't get up to get air because they are mammals, then they drown. Yeah, they're cute. Yeah, and so I'm actually really glad. I know that China, right? There's a lot of negative attitude towards China around the world, but I hope this is a good thing. And the computer is working great. Yes. We get through the news stories. Anything we talk about, I can Google search it, right? So this one's pretty interesting. Apparently, there is a sheep and ostrich farm in Sihanoukville, which is a city near it's on the coast. And so a lot of Cambodians like to go there to have the fresh seafood and everything. It's really been developed over the last, say, 5-10 years with skyscrapers and things like this. So it's not the same sleepy fishing town that it used to be. But people still like to go there to, like I said, eat the fresh seafood. And of course, sheep and ostriches are both non-native to Cambodia, in case anyone doesn't realize that. And here's a brand new term. A sheep and ostrich farm in Sihanoukville is eager for visitors to visit because of the beautiful nature associated with agrotourism. That's a horrible lead-in sentence, but beside that, agrotourism. Now we've had like orphanage tourism and ecotourism, but this is the first time I've heard of agrotourism. So it says initially the farm only had 100 ostriches, but now there are more than 400. And so they're saying, yeah, come and visit, take pictures. There's grass and water, for people to feed the sheep and ostriches, take pictures. And it helps the villagers to increase their own income because you're stopping for lunch or whatever as well. Let's check. Yeah. Here, I'll close the ones that I've already done. Sheep. All right. This is kind of sad. Now, here in Cambodia, in the English-speaking news, people who collect recyclables are called scavengers. So it's not like they're not homeless. They're not dumpster diving. Well, kind of dumpster dive, except there's no big dumpsters that you would jump into. It's just people put their trash on the side of the road for the dump trucks to come and pick it up. And they will go through looking for cans and bottles and cardboard and things that they can take. And then they sell it to the recycling places, which don't actually do recycling. They put it on trucks and ship it to Vietnam. So anyway, well, here, let me show you here. This is typical of the type of cart that they will drive around in. And you can see there's some cardboard. They've got bags that they're putting their cans and bottles in. And quite often they'll have their children riding on this cart. Well, a car was speeding out of control, hit the cart, knocked the kid. So the kid went, there's no seat belts or anything, obviously, right? And so here's the little kid here. He had to get stitches in his head. Here's, I guess, just a bandage before they went to the hospital. This might probably is the car. And maybe this is the driver. Maybe this is a news person. I don't know. Taking a picture that the kid's alive and didn't die. But they paid him $60. Yeah. And that's not much. That's kind of sad, I think. But this is normally what happens in accidents. Insurance is available. It's not widespread. And so people will just pay if they think, in fact, a lot of times, if a driver that has caused an accident thinks that a mob is going to come and beat them to death, which does happen, they will either drive away or run away. They'll abandon their vehicle and run away. This is, I don't know if that's a security guard or if that's one of the gendarmerie. Look at his shoes. Isn't that cute? He's all in his uniform and he's got sandals on. Typical for Cambodia. Cool, like on the streets of Chicago. Golf cart of sorts. Yeah, kind of. A scrapper. Yeah, not hoarder, scrapper. Yeah, the sheep farm and ostrich farm is like a zoo. Yeah. All around the world it's the same song. Yeah. So generally there's not police. Police may or may not be involved. If police are involved, they're pretty much just mediating the price, you know. Okay, so that's that one. Next up, pregnant women. So the government is going to make sure that women who are employed, I read through the whole story, when they take their maternity leave and then they have their baby, they will get $480 from the government to help with their costs, food, clothing, baby formula, whatever. They're actually really pushing breast milk and breastfeeding, and like for factories to have breastfeeding lounges available for women. Like the family member will bring the baby to be nursed, and then they'll nurse in the little lounge, and then they'll go back to work and the baby will be taken home. Respectively, that people who get twins or triplets. Okay, so on the birth itself, they get $200 for one baby. If they have twins, it's $300, triplets $400, and the prime minister and his wife will personally provide an additional payment of $1,250 to mothers of triplets. So I think they're kind of safe. They do happen. There's probably a couple per year, but not so often that it's going to break the bank. In addition to promote early and regular checkups, the pregnant women will receive $20 cash for each visit that they make to, it says, a health center contracted with the National Social Security Fund. That's basically their like Medicare, right? And so they'll, and that's, up to a total of $280. So they want to really promote prenatal care. And then so that $280 includes 4 prenatal visits, providing guidance and education, assessing the baby's development, 3 postnatal visits to monitor the mother and baby's health and provide breastfeeding support, and then 7 more visits until the child turns 2 years old to check the infant's development and to administer vaccinations. So as you can see there, like one visit to the doctor is $20. A lot cheaper than in the US. It says that Cambodia, with this, Cambodia now has the most advanced maternity rights of any nation in Southeast Asia. So good for us. And pregnant workers are protected by law from being fired for being pregnant. They have to be given maternity leave and have their job when they get back. Let's see. Wet nurses. Yeah. I breastfed all 3 of my kids for at least a certain amount of time. And so there's an organization called La Leche League, I think, if I recall. They have a lot of breastfeeding information. And I remember learning that, how like when you're in the hospital, when you're pregnant, your body gets ready and it has the special milk that's not really milk yet. It's not the real milk yet. I used to know what it's called. I forgot. Yeah. And because it takes 3 days for the real milk to come in, right? They said that if like me, right? If I was to have a baby, like somebody else's baby, nurse on me, and you have 30 or 40 minutes of stimulation from the sucking, that for every 4 hours, that 3-day period, you will get milk as well. You don't have to be pregnant to get milk. You can just nurse. But of course, you have to let the baby suck. They're not getting anything out of you yet, and then so you'll have to give them a bottle or give them some kind of milk until your own milk comes in. But then once it comes in, then you can nurse. My sister-in-law offered to nurse my daughter, and I was like, oh, hell no. Yeah, I've never done that. I've learned that. It's not from experience. So yeah, yay, Cambodia for helping pregnant women. The government increases investment in education to more than $800 million this year. So that's a good thing. They're really pushing computer labs and, making sure people are entering the digital economy, and everything, whether that's good or bad, right? Obviously, it's the way things are going. So unless we have like solar flares knock out all the satellites or something that like completely takes us back to the Stone Age, which could happen, until that does happen, or if it never does, technology is moving forward. So they don't want to be left behind in that. So they're willing to put the money in to invest in that, and also training the teachers and infrastructure of schools and stuff. Over the last 20 years or so, there have been a lot of either aid organizations or rich people that will donate money to build a school. So you'll have these random schools built with no teachers, no desks, no supplies, but there's a school building, so you have to be careful when it's like infrastructure. So it's not only infrastructure here. It is also materials and everything. Let's see, comments. It's okay if it's necessary. Absolutely. It wasn't necessary in your case. Yeah, good. So next, this is kind of sad. There was lightning. A lightning strike killed a mother and injured the son. I read the story. They went out in the back 40 to feed the cows, and the storm came up, and it was a big storm, lots of lightning, and the mother got struck by lightning. I don't know that the lightning struck the son. Let me see if it says that. So before the incident, the two victims, the mother and the child, went to feed the cows in the field behind the house about 500 meters. Then there was heavy rain mixed with wind and lightning. While feeding her cows, unfortunately, she was struck by lightning, killing her, and her son was injured. So I don't know if he was injured from falling over, from cows getting scared and trampling him, from falling down off of something, or if he was holding her hand and she got struck, but the lightning also went through to him. It doesn't say how he was injured, but he's doing okay. And lightning strikes in Cambodia, let me tell you, is above average of the world. I've never heard of any place where more people are getting hit by lightning than here in Cambodia. Okay. And the last one, flying drones. So drones are everywhere around the world. People love drones. They are illegal around the royal palace, which it did not mention in this story. But it's going on to say that it is legal to fly drones, but you have to get a permit, and you have to kind of like file a flight plan kind of thing of where you plan it to be, where it will be flying. You're not allowed to go above a certain height because of the, if there's air traffic, right? And you have to be in visual sight. The operator has to be in visual sight of the drone at all times. Around temples and things like that, you absolutely have to get a permit. So there you go. Drones in Cambodia. Yeah, that's the story. All righty. So that's my news. And here I was looking at Amazing Polly's website. She talked about Sound of Freedom. Did you go see it? Florida's the lightning capital, but I mean, not necessarily just having lightning, but lightning striking people is what I meant. Like in Cambodia, it's like more people get struck by lightning than I think an average. You didn't see it. Yeah. If you've never been over to Amazing Polly's website, this is what it looks like. It's amazingpolly.net. And this is just like a podcast. It's just audio. But she's done, like, here's a lot of her videos that she's done on human trafficking, for years before Epstein, before, she's been researching and exposing, in particular, global trafficking and elite trafficking and stuff, and how it works and who's involved and where it happens and everything. And so I listened to this, and so basically what she was saying is that a lot of the people that were involved in funding this film and stuff are, might be involved with, in the same way. She mentioned the Haiti incident where they had hotels booked and everything, I think in Florida, and it was through the Clinton Foundation. She mentions the lady's name. And so it all kind of came out about the Clinton Foundation when they were about to put a whole bunch of Haitian children on a plane for adoption in the United States to give them a better life, but it exploded that they were taking them for trafficking. And so, with that as one example, I think of Cambodia in this. Anytime there's a war-torn country, and there's orphans, there's people, and a lot of them are organizations that say they're helping the children, and they're trafficking the children or harvesting them or whatever. And so that's a scary thought for me here in Cambodia. It's happening right now with Ukraine and stuff. And so she had an interesting take. I mean, you're welcome to go to her website and watch for yourself. The John of God, she mentioned that with that, she talks about that briefly as well. Yeah, she used to be on YouTube, and YouTube kicked her off, obviously. And she was around before QAnon or anything. And yeah, she does, like, really, not only does she, like, talk about, like, I said this video is just audio. I mean, that's not a video. Well, I guess it's audio. But when she has videos, she has, like, charts and pictures and logos, and this is connected here and that. And she lays it all out, so that it's very clear. She goes into so many connections. And basically she said she hasn't seen the movie yet, but if it was connected, what would the purpose be? And she feels like it's just making money. And if it's the standard modus operandi, right, that they would be bringing a project in the same way that Oprah has an orphanage, and that the Haitian people were saying the kids were being adopted. They're making a movie that they're saying is against human trafficking, when they're really the money that they're making is probably going to be funneled into trafficking children, the same way they use a front of helping children to actually traffic. That this could be the same situation, given the people that she mentions by name in her in her I'll call it a podcast, uh, that are involved with the making of the film. So I don't know. I don't know. And then that reminds me of when we know that things happen where um, they need consent in a way, right? They need to let us know what's happening in order to be able to, in the mystic spiritual way, witchcraft way, satanic way, whatever the rules that are guiding the universe, uh, they because it's something to do, I think, with the free will. So if we consent, then it's we're giving up our free will. I don't know. I don't want to think about it so much. We know what happens, and I don't know if there's a situation where if if God places us in an opportunity where we can do something, then that's our time to rise up and do something. Um, my part right now is to share Amazing Polly's website, and if you don't know a lot of what's going on, you can see I don't need to repeat what she's already said. You can watch her say it. Yes, if they think if they tell us they will have no karma. Okay, there you go. Spirit, it's the whole spiritual thing. I give no consent. Absolutely. I don't either. And you use your voice any way you can. So this is my little contribution to my voice. Um, there was one time, I'll tell you the story, since this is what we do is ramble, right? Oh, and I have some sarsaparilla. Okay. So I was working graveyard waitressing at a coffee shop. It was called Perco's. It was in a little town called Oakdale. I believe it was in Oakdale, in California, outside of Modesto. And the Modesto area, the Stanislaus County area, is a very strong, like generational Satanism node there. Um, so, and I've known that through whatever sources, right? Um, and so I'm working at this coffee shop graveyard, and these people come up. I should probably do something with maybe stop sharing my screen. I'll share it again if we have something. Hey, that's where As the World Turns took place, but it was Oakdale, Illinois. Oh, I didn't know that. I used to watch that back in the day. So anyway, I was working graveyard, and oh, every 2 or 3 weeks or so, this family would come in. So you had the middle-aged man, all in black hair, black. I mean, he was white skinned, but black clothes, black hair, and then an older couple that was like grandma, grandpa age, and then two little kids, brother and the little brother and sister. Um, and I'm trying to think their ages, like 8 and 10, 6 and 8, something like this. The little girl was older than the little boy, and they'd come in, have a meal, have coffee, whatever. And so while the adults are chit chatting, I would like play, because it's graveyard. I wasn't that busy. If I was busy, I was doing my job. But if I wasn't busy, I'd have them help me with what we called side work. Like refilling the sugar packets in the little things that go on the table, stuff like that, right? Just to play with them and have some fun, keep them distracted. And I can't explain how. No words were ever said. All right. But the spirit in me could recognize the spirit of light in me, could recognize the spirit of darkness in him. And his spirit of darkness could recognize the spirit of light in me. And I was there, I was doing my job, and so I'd serve them and be friendly, and that was it, and try to give a little bit of joy to the kids, because God only knew what was happening to them, right? I knew that they were part of this generational Satanism. No words ever, I just knew. And one of the things that happens, because they will actually impregnate someone to give birth on a certain day so that a child will be a certain age later for a particular ceremony. They've got all the sciences, whether it's surgery or gynecology or psychology. Let me tell I think they invented these kind of sciences. Anyway, so one of the things that they do, any generation, and that's my term, I call them generational Satanists, as opposed to, a group of teenagers that are into death metal or heavy metal and like some form of Satanism kind of thing, where then people go, oh, the satanic panic or whatever, because it's like a surface level Satanism. But when we're talking generational, we're talking hundreds of thousands of years, right? That these ceremonies and what we know happens, right? Unimaginable, absolutely. And so they're that good, right? And one of the things they do, like, they don't get too attached, or at least once they've sacrificed a child, it's as if that child never existed. Whether that's part of their own, now we talk about MK Ultra and stuff like this, the mind control and everything. But you got to figure, for generations, so everybody's got friggin', it's not just that they're splitting the personalities of the kids, the ones that grow up to carry on and be the next generation. Well, they've had their personalities split too, right? And it's like that child existed in one of the split personalities, and that child does not exist anymore. I ran into the grandparents at a Walmart or something, and off work, right? And I said, oh, hi, how you doing? So nice to see you outside of work. How are you? Great, wonderful, and everything, chit chat a little bit. So how are they? I knew the kids' names. I don't remember now. So, how are Bobby and Sue? And they're like, who? And I knew. And so it was just like, oh, never mind. Never mind. Because I knew that they would not be able to, that they're gone. I knew that those two beautiful children were gone. And God only knows in what way. And it broke my heart, but I could only hope that the time that I spent and I invested in them, in whatever their life was like from birth until whatever happened for their death, that I gave them a little bit of joy, a little bit of goodness, because they were happy, they were laughing. I'd give them extra cherry on their ice cream or something, and so hopefully I gave them some joy and some light in their life. But sad story. Oh, look at me, I'm starting to cry. Yeah, so we all have our stories. This is Ramble. You never know where it's going to go. There's a woman years ago on Dr. Phil that spoke of these things. Yeah, there's bits and pieces. A lot of what I learned came from two sources. The first being Mike Warnke. I can look him up. Oh, I can even play one of his. Oh, wait. I got to share the screen first. Let's share, present. Share the screen. Share the screen. The entire screen. Share. All right. So now you can watch me search Mike Warnke. And he was, okay, it says here American evangelist, right? Let me look back over here. Yeah, okay, I'm in the little box. And he was it says here, gospel-oriented comedian and lecturer. Right. Now Wikipedia says he was exposed in 1992 for inventing stories of his past. Right. I no. He wasn't inventing the thing. So he became involved with Satanism, um, not from birth, not in a generational sense, but from in Los Angeles. He went and fought in Vietnam. He came back, um, and so he would go around to churches and do a comedy routine, but then he would bring it around and tell people. I don't think I. So it says here there's a book called The Satan Seller, or Selling Satan. Oh, Selling Satan is someone exposing his scandal, but The Satan Seller was his book. I guess I don't think I've ever read it. According to this book here, it says a former Satanist high priest reveals the demonic forces behind the fastest growing and most deadly occult religion in the world. Okay. So he would share his testimony, and it would involve the Satanism. And in fact, I think he came around several times. I think one of the times afterwards, I went and I talked to him. And it might have been after the incident that I just described. And I was just like, if we know about this, right? You know about it. I know about it. The information is out there. Why can't we go do something about it? Right? Why can't the police go raid them or something? Why can't we do something? And I remember him going, well, what do you want? Like, just go in guns blazing and shoot everybody down or something? And I remember thinking like, yeah, that's exactly what I want. But I just kind of went, no, or something. And I can't remember exactly what he told me about why, there's laws. We have to follow the law. I don't know. We can't be evil like them, maybe something. I don't remember exactly what he said, but it was just, again, brokenhearted. I think we deal with this thing. I think a lot of the people that were following QAnon in the beginning and seeing these things being revealed about Epstein Island, about the Cannibal Club and the Standard Hotel and all these different things and these things coming out, because a lot of people, it was the first time they were learning about it. And then like nothing happens. And I mean, yeah, Epstein went to prison and then ended up dead. But what about the victims? What about what about his network? How, if he's gone, someone else just fills the void. I mean, they didn't shut down the network, right? And it's disheartening, Let me see. I was light. Yes, thank you. Thank you. And thank you, still are. The time has come. I hope so. Awareness to stop supporting these creeps like he has before. Yeah, I think over the centuries, they get run underground. Just today, I was watching, I subscribed to like this Native American man or I think the channel is made by somebody that just interviews this Navajo man. And he's an elder, and he'll tell the story about this or story about that. And they did one on the story of the Anasazi. He says Anasaza instead of Anasazi, but it doesn't matter. And he said that the story that has been taught from elder to elder to elder, right? That's been taught, is that the Anasazi were these human traffickers. They were enslaving people. They were evil. They worshiped the dark. That's why they had to have all their kivas, because they had to go in the dark, not just a sweat lodge for healthy reasons. they were doing sacrifices, and and they were evil, and the other tribes came and slaughtered them and brought them down. Well, I don't know. I mean, he did. That's my words, not his words, because he said that they went there and they prayed for the. It's kind of like the walls of Jericho. Okay, they prayed for strong winds to knock over everything, and for the cliffs to break off and fall down. Obviously some of the structures survive. That's what we have. But as a people, the Anasazi were evil, and they freed all the slaves. In fact, the slaves all ran in different directions and hid out for a while, and then they came back and they were so traumatized, but they needed like a justice, that they came back, and that's why everything's pottery shards right now, because they just destroyed everything so that it couldn't happen again. So there are moments in history where I think they're run to ground, run underground, and they're not as big as they are right now. It's just, I mean, you got to figure, before there were airplanes and trains and cars and the internet and everything, the communication, the transportation, the logistics, you didn't have cargo ships that you could fill, or airplanes that you could fill and move people from one place to another. So it had to have been a smaller scale. And I think that they were a smaller population as well. So they only had to feed themselves, within their own little network, which is a horrible thought, but so I don't think it was as widespread before, but it's grown. I think just like the population of the earth has gone to what? Didn't it pass 7 million? Billion to 8 billion? I remember I think the population was 3 billion in the 80s. And they were talking about it hitting 5 billion. And it was just, that's unimaginable. And now it's like 8 billion people. And just like the population of the earth has grown exponentially, they've grown and spread, and so they need more supply, and plus they just want to make money. And because then you've got different levels of the trafficking, where from adrenochrome at the worst to just pedos, and that are just using the children, and then organs, and it's sad. We all need to pray at the same time. There's been some efforts, about that, to have like a day of prayer kind of thing stuff, but usually it's like the New Agers that try to lead something where they get everybody to like change the consciousness kind of thing. They put it in that, and then everybody goes woo woo, because they're the ones that are trying to organize it. Even though I know America has a national day of prayer, and hardcore churches will usually follow that. I remember in the Baptist church, we would follow it. I don't know if the Catholic Church follows it. It's of course open to any religion. But yeah, I believe with all of the abortions, etc., the earth has plenty of room. Oh my gosh. I in the 80s, again, and I'll give the Baptist church I went to credit for this, that the ladies group took in the girl, the young women from the youth group, and one of the women hosted like this, almost like you would a Bible study, right, in her house. But it wasn't a Bible study. It was to tell us about abortion, and to make sure we knew what it was and why it was wrong, and things, right? And that was my first, I'd never heard of abortion until that. And so I became very active in fact, when I lived in Modesto, um, not only did I help another woman set up a like an alternative pregnancy clinic, right? So people had a choice. They could go to Planned Parenthood or the abortion clinic, um, or they could go to, if they just wanted a test, they could go to this clinic, right? Where they would get more information about more options such as adoption, or could they keep it, or uh, you know, options instead of, and if they really wanted an abortion, well, they'd have to go to the other clinic for that. But at least, because what happens a lot of times is women, they're in a stress situation, and they walk into an abortion clinic just wanting to know if they're pregnant or not, because this was before, I mean, the pregnancy sticks that everybody's got now, right? You just pee on the stick, right? They were invented, they existed, but they were expensive. And I think it was kind of like in the 50s for going and buying condoms. You didn't want anyone to see you. Have to go to the next town over to buy condoms because you didn't want anyone to see you. Is And I think there was that stigma with the pregnancy test as well. If you went into your local pharmacy, God forbid, your parents find out that you bought one, right? um yeah, they want to tell us we're over. Absolutely. The planet Earth has plenty of space. Absolutely. um I just meant the percentage of people. So, like, we talk about the 1% being the elite, right? Well, 1% of 3 billion is a lot smaller number than 1% of 8 billion, right? So I think they've also grown. They haven't kept it as tight knit as it used to be, you know, even though they've got different layers. You've got Nexium and this and that, and what you've got all these little clusters everywhere. Um, but eventually, the higher up you go in any organization, you probably end up with the same elites. Um, yeah. Anyway, yeah. So I also went and participated with um, I guess, a protest. Is that what we called it, when you'd go to the abortion clinic and you'd stand outside, but not chanting and signs, and not that, just quietly, not saying anything before they opened, going to their door and standing all together in a chain with our arms. You have your arms like that, with everybody locking elbows, you know, um, to prevent anyone from going into the clinic. I did that. Uh, but like, when you look at the statistics, even back in the 80s, back then, it was like a nuclear bomb, like all the nuclear bombs of Hiroshima and Nagasaki and stuff had killed, abortions had killed more people than nuclear explosions. They'd killed more, more babies had been aborted than people had died in all of the world wars, at least all of America's wars. I think that America had been involved in. The clinics push for abortion. Exactly. Exactly. So if you went to the clinic just to get a pregnancy test, they would push the abortion. Thank you for getting me back on track with that. That's where I was leading to when I was talking about the stigma with the tests themselves. Yeah. So you would just go to get a pregnancy test, and they, because it's money. I've heard nurses that worked at abortion clinics that had come forward, and it was all about the money for the doctors and the nurses. And it's like all under the table. There's no liability when you're a gynecologist or an obstetrician and you're delivering babies. You have to pay all this insurance because, you know giving birth isn't 100% always perfect, and there are going to be complications. In one case, a baby's going to die, whatever, and somebody might be so grieved that they try to sue you for malpractice. So you have to pay all this malpractice insurance. You have student loans to pay off, all this it's expensive to be an OBGYN. But they can do abortions and play golf, and rack up the money in the bank. no questions asked, no liability. Because whenever somebody dies from an abortion, the coroners will, because it's, I don't know if it's a law or what, if it's just the mindset about the privacy of the woman. So if a 14-year-old girl, her teacher takes her, to get an abortion during school hours so that her parents don't know that she got one. And then she goes home and she starts hemorrhaging because she's got a perforated uterus or a perforated intestine or something because the DNC poked through, you know. And so she's hemorrhaging and she's bleeding to death. They take her to the emergency room. They know what happened. They keep their mouth shut and don't tell the parents. The coroner knows exactly what happens and keeps their mouth shut and doesn't tell the parents. So the parents think that there was just some, I don't know, they hemorrhage. They hemorrhaged. Unexplainable hemorrhages or whatever. I mean, they're all in on it. It's crazy. But I am so happy that we the computer is working. This is awesome. So you see Mike Warnke. The other person was Bob Larson. He had a radio show, an AM radio show back then, same time around as uh, who was it, Rush Limbaugh and everything. And I don't think he's Catholic. I'm not sure why he wears the white, like almost like a priest kind of thing. I'm pretty sure he is ordained at something. He's written a lot of books, like novels. He kind of got known for exorcisms and becoming an expert on exorcisms, and he would talk about the Satanism. He talked about John Bonet Ramsey was killed at the time that he had his radio show, and he flat out said it was Satanism. And anyway, he had a live call-in show, and people would call in. People with split personalities would call in. People who were possessed by demons would call in. And so there were a couple of demons that he would talk to on the radio show. It was scary, when that happened. That wasn't all the time. And so both through what he would share, what happened live, and what people that called into the show would share, I learned a lot. And could someone call in and be lying or something? Sure, but not everybody was, So and this was in the 80s. So I learned a lot, when QAnon came out, it was like, yeah, I already kind of knew a lot of this stuff, but I didn't know the word adrenochrome. I didn't know that word. But that's one of the things that Mike Warnke had said, was that, because I think one of the other times I had asked him, why don't they, if they're going to sacrifice somebody, because he gave descriptions between the two of them. I can't tell you which one said what, but descriptions of different ceremonies and how they happened and stuff. And I remember asking also at a different time, why don't they just put them to sleep? Why don't they just knock them out? Why don't they give them a sleeping pill and then do their sacrifice? Why don't, at least that way they don't have pain, right? And he's like, because they need, and he talked about it in a sense of energy, like spiritually, that the more innocent the person is and the more terrified they are as they're dying, that energy that's being released spiritually, they soak up, right? That, oh my God, ants are trying to attack my root beer. They did not find the root beer. They found the cap of the root beer. I'll put it over there. and I'll squish all these little ants. You've invaded my habitat. If I'm in your habitat, I let you live, but you're in my habitat, so I am killing you. We're talking about sacrifice and death and all this kind of stuff. So anyway, yeah, he said that. And now when we learn about adrenochrome, it clicked. It wasn't just spiritually, but it was physically. They need them to be in terror in order to harvest the adrenochrome, which then makes me really sad about the let me stop sharing. Makes me sad about the whole Monsters Inc. because that's all about harvesting. They're in the cartoon, they're going in and scaring the kids and then like collecting the screams, right? That's adrenochrome. No, I can't watch kids movies anymore. Yeah, it would be humane, to do, but they don't want humane. They want adrenochrome. There's no QAnon. There's Q, and the Anon are on anonymous people. That's good. That's a good point. There was Q, and then the Anons were the anonymous people that are picking up the breadcrumbs and searching for things and finding things and posting them and everything and trying to solve the mysteries. Yeah, you're right there. And then at some point, I don't know if it was like the mainstream media started calling people QAnon, or if they themselves started referring to the movement as QAnon, like with T-shirts and hats and whatever, like as a movement being QAnon, because as a movement, it's both, right? I don't know who started that term. We are the Anons, yes. Although I went on to the Q board and would like look at everything, and I learned how to navigate, but I never posted anything. I don't think I ever signed up or posted anything. I was just looking at it. I have answered too, because we're all living on ant hills. Okay. They want to mock. Of course. The mainstream media is always mocking everything. Okay, now it's done. But where can I put it? I got to just hold it until I'm done. I guess I should finish up pretty soon because there's others in the mix. Yeah. But this, it's been an hour. Wow, that just flew by, And I guess Andy must be busy working or building a fence or something for his dogs. Maybe he'll watch the replay. Oh, I had mentioned, let me look here with Bob. Oh, he hasn't. I told him, I said, hey, if you're not busy, I'm going live in 2 minutes. I've got the new computer for my live stream, so I'm testing it out, but it's still just one check mark. So he didn't see it. One of these days we'll get Bob on here. Or we'll attack him. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much. And we just want to lift up Mabel. We miss her so much. We love her with all our hearts. And we just pray your blessings be poured out upon her, and that she continues to heal, and that she can be back with us again soon. We pray for Andy and his dogs and his cats and all the animals and his wife, and that they're doing good up there in Northern California, and for Chalet and her husband and her grandbabies and her kids and her kitties and her dog and all the dolphins and geese and birds and whatever there in Florida. Lord, you love all of us. And we also want to take a moment right now to pray for the children. Any children that are in a bad situation right now, Just give them a little light. Give them a little light. And if you can, make a way for them to get out of that bad situation. Because we trust you. We know that you can do anything, and sometimes we don't understand why things are the way they are. But we believe in you, and we know that you're real, and that you love us, and that you can do anything. Because all the atoms and molecules and particles, and it's all just building blocks for you that you can rearrange and do things and touch people and touch lives and touch circumstances. So we just pray. We pray and we come before you so humbly. And that all of this, the live stream, our houses and our clothes and our jobs and whatever, our channels on YouTube, it's for your glory, Lord. We give you the glory because it's a voice, and a voice that we have to be very careful with, that we always stay conscious of you and your glory. So thank you. We're grateful. We're so grateful, Lord, that we're here, that we're alive, that we exist, that we live, that our spirit is eternal before, now, and after. We don't understand exactly all the details, and we don't need to. We just know it's true, and we know that you love us. So share the light. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you for reminding me to pray for Mabel. And on that, it feels like the rambling's good. The computer's good. The ants are dead. The cats are quiet. The dogs are quiet. Oh, I think this camera is better than my other camera. You can see the boxes better. I actually spent at least an hour, maybe 2 hours, going through some boxes. I emptied 3 boxes. I have 3 cardboard boxes for the trash. So that's awesome. And because I have a little storage area, I need to do the tour. Okay, I haven't forgotten that. I'll do the tour. And so my storage area, I cleaned up. 3 bags of cocaine. All is well. Yeah, that's a good camera. Yeah. So now I need to clean up before Tuesday. So tomorrow afternoon, because it's Saturday night here. Tomorrow morning, I will go and see Bob and have our crosswords and breakfast. When I come back in the afternoon, this area, this area will need to be clean. Either that, or I'll just get use one of my clothing racks, freestanding clothing racks, and put a sheet over it. Yeah, that's too easy. I've told you my secret, so I can't do that now. I have to actually clean those boxes and do something with them. So that's what I'll do. Maybe even a little bit organize that a little bit more. That's not bad. I just put those books. See, one of the boxes I emptied was books, and so I emptied a box of those books right there, and I found that it says PUC radio station that my friend Soma Norodom did. She did a talk show, and I helped her with that, and somehow I ended up with that plaque. I don't know. You're the friend that would clean my house. Yeah, you got to jump on a plane and come over here just to help me. If I was like a millionaire, I would buy you a ticket, Chalet, just so you could come over here and help me clean the house. Yeah, I just got to buckle down. I just got to buckle down. I can do it. I can do it. It's time. It's time to do it, you know. Um, but it was a big step moving here into this house where at least everything downstairs has a place. So that's good. And so all the stuff that doesn't have a place is up here. But my bedroom also, everything has a place. I mean, there's a bookshelf that could be organized that's cluttered like this. Um, First class, yeah, I would if I had the extra money, I would buy you a first class ticket or at least business class because that's pretty much the same thing. I don't know that I don't think there's much difference on the plane between first class and business class, except that you pay more just to say that you're in first class. I don't know, but that's not going to happen. I'm not a millionaire. Excuse me. So, all right. Well, we'll catch up on Tuesday. Anything exciting that happens, I'll report then. It was great to see. I'm so glad that I didn't know if anybody would be. That's why I had all those news stories ready because I didn't know if anybody would be here. At least I could test it. No glitching. It was definitely the computer that was having issues, and so I'm so excited that I have this now. And all right. So you have a good night, and I will see you next time. Love you. See you later, Gator. In a while, crocodile. I think it goes the opposite way. Does it? I don't know. Bye bye.